Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for Women's Empowerment Coffee Break. I am so excited about what God is doing in this season. I'm so excited about just being here. I'm so excited for Dr. Leah Brundidge to be joining us today. And so, what I want us to do, I want us to share, share, get this message out because I really want the Lord to do a work. I want God to just move. The topic that we have on today is taking off the limitations. Sometimes in our lives, we don't realize that we allow people to put limitations on us, or we put limitations on ourselves and we say we can't do certain things, or we don't have certain experiences, so we say we can't do certain things. But I have Dr. Leah Brundidge here, and she is going to do a great work. Oh my God, she's a blessing to me because I met her at Troy University, and she has just been truly a blessing. And she has really just been so sweet, so encouraging. And I felt like she would be the perfect person to even invite on the platform to minister to us. As we were discussing before we got on the live, she said that her work is in empowerment. So I was like, wow, look at it just being God, and just allowing people to come and minister to us. This platform is not about me, but it's about all of us. It's about us building each other up. It's about us just getting out there and sharing the word. And if we have this support system, God is going to do great things with us if we continue to lift each other up, if we continue to just do a great work in everybody, just building everybody up. And I'm just so thankful that this opportunity has come. Like, I've been really excited all week long, just putting promotions out so that you all can come and see and share. So if you haven't shared, I want you to go ahead and share so that we can get as many people as possible. If you tuned in last week, I know that you're going to be blessed this week. So we have none other than Dr. Leah Brundidge, and she's going to come and she is going to be able to minister and tell us how we can take off the limitations. All right, go ahead, Dr. Leah Brundidge.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, and thank you again, Reverend Rochelle. I told you off camera, but I just want to make sure I tell you publicly as well just how much I appreciate this opportunity. Number one, just to chat with you. The same way you feel about me, I feel the same way about you and your family, your husband, Josiah, who y'all both played a great role during my time in Troy at the Paul with Genesis. So really appreciate y'all. But as Reverend Rochelle mentioned, my name is Leah Brundidge, Dr. Leah Brundidge. I'll just share a little bit about myself, a little bit about my story, and how I feel like, and I will be completely transparent. I'm still working on taking off the limitations. So this the topic was timely. The platform is timely, and just I'm just thankful for the opportunity. But I'm not sure. I can't see who is and who is not tuned, who may be tuned in or not. But just a little bit about myself. I'm from Alabama, small town, Bruton, Alabama, but I also grew up in Jackson, Alabama, and so I like to make sure I kind of start off with that and make sure people understand like my background, so they can also understand a little bit about why I'm shaped and built and operate the way that I do. Other than just how God created me, of course, but growing up in both of those areas, small towns, both Jackson and Bruton, my time in Jackson and Bruton, education was prioritized, and it's a very small town for those of you those of you all who know where they're located. So there's not much to do there, other than some sports. Some people get involved in band and different activities, but I was fortunate enough that the Lord gave me a little bit of athletic ability, depending on who you ask. So he allowed me to take that education, that foundation that I formed in Jackson and in Bruton, Alabama, and also just build on it over the years, and ultimately made my way to Troy University. So a lot happened between those points, but I just want to start at my time getting to Troy, and just how we as humans sometimes can put limitations on ourselves. I was in high school, a multi-sport athlete, if y'all knew me in high school, y'all knew me in high school, kind of the same, but definitely have grown some. But I got to my senior year, had some attention from some coaches in different sports, but Leah's plan and Leah's, my route was just gonna be, let's just go to school. Let's just be a normal student, what I was gonna call it. For college, I can, be human, not have the structure and the discipline and just the different things that I had. I think I was a little burnt out as well too, if I'm gonna be honest. But I had made up my mind. I don't even think, if I remember correctly, I think maybe I had even said I wasn't gonna play softball my senior year. And if y'all know me, y'all know that's out. That's just nothing but the enemy is what I would say. But thankfully, and it's going to be one of the points that I get to ultimately. Thankfully, I had some people in my corner. Obviously, my parents. For those of you who may not know my parents, Eddie and Sybil, if y'all know them, then y'all know that the quitting or just giving up on things, that was never an option in our household, right? So I didn't. I chose not to give up on sports. I played my senior year, and like I said, through the support of just individuals, one in particular, Coach White, Greg White, and Bruton at TR Miller, he encouraged me. I put this limit on myself of I don't want to go and be an athlete, or did not want to go and be an athlete. I just wanted to go and be a student, but saw something in me. If people, it's just my entire life. I can just shout out a lot of people who saw something in me and pushed me to that next level. Um, and so that's one of my first points is make sure you're surrounding yourself with some people who can see some things in you and who can push you to levels that you don't even know that are available. Because if we put those limits on ourselves, we would settle for just for whatever we have. We'll settle for just anything that looks good. But thank God for good people, good mentors, coaches, my parents in my corner. And the same thing happened once I decided to go to Troy. I was just fortunate enough to connect with some other people who once again saw something in me. Mentors, my coaches gave me opportunities. I could start naming off a lot of people, but I'm not. The point I'm making is find some good people. I know you may not be connected in a local church. You may not have different ministries, different opportunities that I had opportunity with when I was growing up, but try to find some good people. And if you don't have that right now, just pray for it, because I didn't go and pick out these people. They found me, and I think that's through the grace and through the favor of God. So God, He provides all, and so He'll provide the right people in the right community to kind of keep you on your path. But then my next point would be, and I'm actually, Rochelle, excuse me, I'm actually getting a little bit ahead of myself, because you did mention that my research and my dissertation touched on empowerment. So I appreciate you introducing that. Um, I had six themes that came from my study. So the title of my study was An Illustration of Hope, and it was a look into the work experiences and the lives of Black women in various leadership positions in athletics. And that was such a great opportunity, because that was literally an example of what it looks like to live with no limits. You had some women who may have never played sports, who were previous athletes. You have some women who started out at maybe lower levels, various levels, may not have even started out in athletics at all, and they were at the pinnacle, the height of their career. Some of them have been athletic directors, and if you know anything about sports and college athletics, the AD role is like a highly sought after. It's a very important and prestigious role, and here I am having an opportunity to connect with them. But the point that I'm making is, yes, I had some themes come from my research, and so maybe some academics on the call. Y'all know how that goes. But my 6 points from my research, I think they apply, or my six themes that surfaced from it. I believe that they apply for this conversation as well too. Living with no limits. So one way you do that, and like I said, my first point is making sure you're around the right people. That's how I'm phrasing it from my study. How I summarized it was communities of support. So they describe what their communities of support look like from an athletic standpoint. I can, obviously share different examples of mine. But Rochelle, you were a part of my community of support. I mentioned Genesis. Um, I can continue to go on. There have just been women, men as well, that have just, for whatever reason, circled around Leah Brundidge and made sure that I was okay, or made sure that I was on the right track. So that was one point. But a second point that came from my study is credibility. So these women felt like they were able to get to where they were in life, They had to be credible. They couldn't just be okay with their jobs. They couldn't just, show up and just get hired just because. They had to know what they knew, be confident in it, and really, really, know what you know. And I think if I'm gonna segue into our topic tonight, you need to know what the Lord has already told you. So be credible, be credible in just the promises of what the Lord has told us. And I'm not a pastor, so I'm not gonna try to like preach, but there's so many verses and so many
You
just
can minister. Come on, minister in the way.
but
Minister like the Lord sees it.
there's just so many examples we can go and look and see like what the Lord told us. And I think, and I'm talking to myself right now, but I think if we spend a little bit more time in the Word, to number one, know what the Lord has told us, but then meditate on it and remember it, and just like be credible in the Lord, be credible in what He told you that He will do. So that would be my second point of how can we live with no limits. A third thing that surfaced from it excuse me, moving with purpose. So we God did not want us to kind of come around and just kind of walk with our shoulders down, or He did not want us to go without, or to lack, or to just be down. That's where the enemy wants some of us to be. He attacks us in certain seasons, and he wants us to stay there. But I believe that you gotta walk like that you have the Lord with you. You gotta walk like that, like He told us, that we can have life and we can have it more abundantly. Just so I don't know, just believing it and moving it with purpose, making sure, like, not even just physically walking, but I just, as you see me, I raise my shoulders just then, just standing with a important, confident posture, number one, but go into rooms and know that you belong there. Go whenever you submit your application for school, or maybe you're applying for a certain job, or maybe whatever it is that you may be believing the Lord, act like you already have it, and move in purpose as if you already have that as well too. So that would be my third point. um, I talked about community support. So I'm not going to get into all of them, but the final one that I do want to add is just your mindset. And that's going to kind of segue, I think, into some of our conversation. But you have to believe for anything that you want in life. Like, if you don't believe that you can't have it, or you don't believe that the Lord will fulfill what He, like I said, what He told us, and if you don't know what He told us, we can go back to the source, the Bible. If you don't believe that, then it doesn't matter. And our mind is such a powerful weapon. I feel like that is one of the first places our heart and our mind is where like the enemy will come for us. And I know with me personally, I thank God that He provided me with an opportunity to go to college. I know not everybody gets those opportunities, but also just opportunities to like continue to further my education. Um, but I say that to say we can place these limits on ourselves, or we can tell ourselves what we believe, or we can shape our mind, just say that, I just want to go get my high school diploma, or I just believe that I can do this. That a fixed mindset. That's what I'm trying to say. We can have a fixed mindset of I'm just this, or I'm just going to do this, or I'm only capable. But I taught a class when I was at Troy for a couple of years called um, what was the name of the class? I can't remember the name of the class, but we read from a book. The book was called Teach Yourself How to Learn. And the one part of the book, one component of the book was focused around mindset, and growth mindset versus fixed mindset. And so I used to like challenge my students, like, what's an area, what's a subject that you're struggling in? What's a skill that you're not good in? Yet. You always add the word yet to the end of it, because just because when I transitioned from high school to college, that's a different world. I was used to being star athlete, all star, whatever. But when you come into college, you come into a new setting, the real world, whatever these new situations is, it can be intimidating. You can shrink down and feel like you don't belong, or that, maybe God made a mistake by letting me enter into this room or getting this opportunity. Or you can realize it's all in our mindset. If we believe, if we have the faith, if we kind of stand firm in what we know and who we know, and we challenge those little doubts that come in, because like it's okay to kind of doubt yourself. And or no, it's not okay to doubt yourself, but it's okay to have those thoughts and to like sit with it, but don't let it overcome you, is what I'm trying to say. Don't let it just, overwhelm you so much to the point where you start believing some of the lies that the enemy wants you to believe. Like, I go back to me coming when I transitioned to Troy, and as a freshman, I'm coming in, I'm not getting no playing time, I'm not starting, I'm, whatever the case is. But I had to remember that, like, I'm here for a reason, whatever that reason may look like. It may not be to be All American, athletically. I didn't know my freshman year that I would ultimately end up being like an academic All America. So like you just never know. That's a perfect example. I could have quit my freshman year, and I made a point earlier that my parents, they didn't do that quitting stuff or that giving up, but I remember having a serious conversation with them that first year, and like, we talked through it, and obviously I stayed there, and I'm so glad that I did, because who knows, would I have met you had this opportunity, would I have had opportunities to further my education to be Dr. Leah? I didn't want to go be a doctor. I would have, this was nowhere on my vision board. Y'all can go back and look at my journal. I don't think I ever wrote this vision and made it plain, but once again, we placed those limits on us. I thought I was just going to Troy just to get a 4-year degree, play a little softball, maybe make some friends, but like look at everything else that has surfaced from that. So I want to share 4 of my 6 points. I can talk about those other ones further, but I just feel like those communities of support, getting your mindset right, being credible, knowing what you know, being firm and confident in what the Lord told you and just his promises. And then mindset, just keep your mindset on the Lord. Just an idle mind is a devil's playground.
Right.
So get in the word, get you a hobby, get you some friends, or whatever it needs, whatever you need to keep your mind strong, do that and build it up, because it's so easy to let the devil come in, make you question if the Lord sent you there. And so with all those things in mind, I kind of told you all how I got to Troy. But what I did not say is, I'm thinking I'm just going for a 4-year degree. I ended up leaving 10 years later, which that was also not a part of plans, but we placed those limitations. I'm not going to live in Troy. I don't even know if I want to live in Alabama the rest, during this time. But those were like 10 fun years. Met some lifelong friends that I'll probably never get rid of, and they'll never get rid of me. And so all of that would have never happened if I didn't trust in the Lord, or if I didn't just take that first step. And sometimes that's the biggest thing to remove the limitations. Just take the first step. I didn't say this about myself earlier, but my friends noticed about my family noticed about me. And I blame my parents and I blame Mariah, my sister, because I'm the only oldest child in the family. All of them are the babies. But I've always had to like be the leader, you need to take control. And I thank God for that. Those are some great skills and some great traits to have. Howsoever, I have been recently realizing that I've given myself a little bit too much credit for where I've gotten or the things that I've gotten in life. So much so that I thought that I could control my life, or if I worked a little bit harder, or if I just, grinded it out a little bit more, or if I suffered a little, I can do this. And so to get to present day and just kind of get to the point, but had a 10 years at Troy, had a great career, had some great opportunities. Back in 2022, I had an opportunity to move to Mississippi and work at the University of Southern Mississippi. Once again, who would have ever thought that I would go and live in Mississippi, and work at Southern Miss? Never a plan, never a goal, but it was all a part of his plans. Also around this time, I'm finishing my dissertation as well too. So everything is kind of going well. Of course, it's a stressful situation. Moving is never easy and never fun. Especially your first time moving. That's my first time not living in the state of Alabama. I didn't really know anyone. I went on to meet some people, some great friends, some great sorors. Like I found some great community at a church, West Point. So it ended up being really great. In my mind, I told myself, well, if the city that I go to, and obviously it was Hattiesburg, if it has a church, if it has a Delta chapter, pretty close, if it has, I had like a little, I can't even remember what my criteria was. I was like, oh, I got this, I'll be fine. I'm thinking like, this is all I need. I made the plan, it checked the boxes, everything was cool. But it's cool until it's not. You get there and just life happens. Some people who know my transition and know my story, they may think it was this, they may think it was that. It was literally just life. Life happened. The Lord had to humble me and sit me down and make me realize, like, you can keep going, you can keep pushing yourself, you can keep grinding it out. And I fought it for a while. I fought it for a long time. And to get to present day, this was spring or summer 2023 last year. I just was like, just stop, Leah. Like, just stop. And I decided to stop, but the Lord also was like, you want to keep tugging back and forth, or you're not tired yet. So through that, just talking to people and just prayer and just different things, I ended up getting another opportunity, and I wanted to get to this point because if I place these limitations on myself, at this point in time, I had been working in college athletics for 7 or 8 years, so close. I'm doing pretty good. I am in a great opportunity at a great school. The athletic director there, I had a previous relationship with from my time at. So it's just like on paper, why would you leave? You have a great chapter. That was a great chapter. I don't know if some of them were able to make it. I saw them comment, but great chapter, great story. You have a great church. I had a great, everything was great, but just
Yeah.
it ain't, it's just not. And so I had to surrender. So I get to that point where I made it. The Lord presented an opportunity. I made a decision, and I made a complete career and life pivot. No longer in athletics.
Mm.
After I had, like I said, worked 7 or 8 years. After I had written an entire dissertation centered around where I thought I wanted to be one day in the future. But I mean, maybe God, I don't know, he may have a plan for it. I'm sure he does. I'm not putting any limits on what he wants to do with that time and that space in my life, going forward in the future. But I got an opportunity in an industry that I would have, the veterinarian industry. Like,
Well, yeah.
it don't even it still doesn't make sense. I've been here close to a year now, and I'm still just like, really? But had I not made that step,
Right.
I have had just in this past year so many opportunities, whether it's just from meeting some great people or just seeing that there's a difference, or just seeing that, like, you see what happens when you allow God to just move, and you Leah, don't put the limits on it, or when you just take the step, and who knows, like I'm really enjoying the company that I'm with, and I can see a long future. But who knows, if the Lord shifts and change, whatever it is, I just want to make sure that I make myself available. And I told you when you reached out to me about this opportunity, how I had just finished that prayer call either earlier that day or the day before, and one of the points was like, just be available, just say yes, and I just said yes. So to wrap up, my rambling or my points or my testimony, just say yes, make yourself available. Just know that, like, it is not going to be comfortable. Me leaving a area, an industry of comfort where people had invested in, like, yes, I invested time, yes, I invested energy, but to anybody that knows me, I don't like letting people down. People invested in me, so I felt like it was a letdown. But I know that, like, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, and like I said, who knows what God may do in the future. But I'm just so grateful, so blessed, so like, just to be where I am, with just a different opportunity and a fresh, just restart on my life, as I call it, my life and my career pivot. So um I don't want to keep rambling, but I do appreciate your time. And like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. But I appreciate it, Rochelle.
Thank you so much, Leah. Like, just hearing you, it's just been so amazing to just even hear the story where you say you why leave Alabama? You've never lived in another state ever in your life. You had a wonderful church, you had a wonderful Delta chapter. It just didn't, to other people, it just was like, well, why? Because you have a lot going where you are, but I see that you have allowed the Lord to work in your life, and you have allowed the Lord to just take you to a new height and take you to a new level and let you expand yourself and be able to put yourself in a new environment where you can grow even bigger and that the opportunities can grow even farther. So I just want to commend you for taking that step of faith, because I do realize when even coming to Troy, I lived in Atlanta. Moving to Troy made no sense to everybody around me, but I had to say, I gotta go because this is where the Lord is taking me. And even leaving Troy and coming to New Jersey, it's just like when you go where the Lord is sending you, you just never know that the sky is the limit. The Lord will just guide you. And you said you would have never imagined, that you would have had to have a PhD. So I'm just so excited about what God is doing in you and through your just your testimony has really just been so beautiful to me, and I know that it's been encouraging to our viewers. So I saw in the comments that one person, they had asked, if I can go back to it, it says, where do you see yourself in 5 years as far as your education and professionally?
Great question. I mean, like I said, I'm as far as education and profession, I mentioned that I'm in the veterinarian space or the vet animal health space. So I unless the Lord, throw another curve in, which I don't want to test him because like I said, he took me through it last year, and I'm going to listen quicker this time. But I see myself, like I said, still in this lane, still where I am. I've talked to one of my managers. I feel like I talked to one of my managers, and I talk to my friends about this all the time. That like God does everything for a reason. And I mentioned how athletics and sports have always played a major role. So it's not I don't think that I will ever not be around it. I'm fortunate enough, one of my committee members, Dr. Christy Oshiro, she was an external member of mine, but she's at Belmont University. She started out just as a committee member, but ultimately has been a really great friend of mine. And so she has, once again, someone who didn't know me before, but just cared enough about me and I showed favor to me, has pushed me and encouraged me to try to continue to publish with my dissertation. So we have been working on that to get that done. So I'm just open to like literally whatever God has for me. But I mean, if I'm singing it, which I'm letting the Lord move, I'm okay where I'm good and where I am at the moment. So that answered the question.
Okay, thank you. I got more questions coming. So if you, while me and Leah are talking, you can drop your comments in the chat so that we will continue to ask your questions as they come. So the next question I have is, what are some internal struggles you had to overcome to achieve your level of academics?
Internal struggles that I had to overcome to achieve my level. I mean, doubt. I not from what I know, I don't think anyone in my family has ever had a doctor. They may have, I just may not know because my family is so huge. So if so, I'm sorry. But you know, another point that I didn't mention from or another top theme, excuse me, from my study that came up was role modeling or like representation, and just how important that was for the women in the study to like either see other women, black women or other people in spaces and they can do it, or for them to be that role model for someone else to come behind them and do it. So I say to say I didn't really. I mean, I had friends, and once I got to Troy, and you get around that academic space, I had people who were PhDs and in different various. I had no plan, so I guess the biggest struggle that I have, the first one is just believing that you can, and it's just belief, just versus belief. But then from there, just I guess like persistence. You don't want
Mhm.
to work. I was working full time, but you don't want to work a full day. And for people who have worked in athletics before, y'all know a full day is not just 8 to 5 or just Monday through Friday. But you don't want to work and go home and write and read, but just persistent,
Right.
believing in yourself and just persisting through and finding that motivation to overcome and get to your goal.
Good. Thank you so much. And so our next question is, what made you attend Troy University and what was your hardest class?
15. And so I don't know if you knew this, Rochelle, because apparently people didn't know this. I thought it was, I don't know, I guess it's assumed that it was known, but those outside of my networking circle did not know that my parents went to Troy. And so during my high school years, like my recruitment, and I think I mentioned that I was like a multi-sport athlete, but I played softball and I played basketball. So I got a little attention from some different schools. But at the time, I had like 2 or 3 schools that I was kind of looking at. I probably was about to pull the trigger on one. Once again, a decision that did not make sense. I turned down a full, and if you know then what you know now, hindsight is always 2020, and I don't have any regrets. But what I didn't know then was basketball scholarships at the D1 level are like full scholarships, so you get everything paid for. Whereas softball, you get like a percentage typically, and now some people get full scholarships, but I wasn't a full scholarship softball athlete. But anyway, I say that to say people were like, you turn down that to, but once again, my heart was drawn to Troy. So I went on a visit. I went, visited coaches. They like me, I like them. When I visited campus, the campus was beautiful. I don't know, Rochelle, I don't know when the last time you and Josiah were able to go to Troy, but like it's probably completely different since y'all have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like like I literally saw the new they tore down MacArthur Hall and they're
Okay.
gonna put another building there. I
Yeah.
think it's for the
Yeah.
new College of Health and Human Services.
Okay, I
And
got you.
I saw the blueprint. I was like, oh my goodness! Like Troy is on they are completely like adding and just recreating and doing amazing things. Yes,
So but even when we were there, I would say Troy still had a beautiful campus. Like campus is
yes,
always beautiful. It's gotten even better, but
yeah.
on campus it was beautiful. The softball facility was cool, but at the time they had plans of starting facility upgrade, so that was exciting. And like I did not want to go to Troy because of my parents, because I had been in the same high school and the same school system as my dad, and I'm like, I don't want anybody to think that I just went to Troy because of them or because of him, which why do I care? That's me putting limits and trying to care about what the perceptions of others, about to miss out on a blessing. But anywho, it ended up going out that way. So that was one of the reasons why I just chose it. And I got like academic scholarships. Troy's a great school. Like I'm anybody that knows me, send your kids to Troy. If they need a personal testimony,
Hello to Troy.
I tell them whatever they need to hear. But but my hardest class was hard. I did have to make a C. I made my first C in college, so I guess you could say that that was hard. But I just also didn't do what I was supposed to do, so that was my fault. But I don't know, maybe stats. Once I made it to my doctorate, would be the hardest class because that's just not my that's just not my area.
Okay, so the next question is, what is your favorite quote that you know by heart?
Favorite quote that I know by heart. Anybody that knows me knows that like I don't really have a favorite thing. It's depending on the season, but right now, what has been mine?
Or give me like a saying that just speaks to your heart.
I have so many. That's the thing. Like I have that. My brain went blank because I do have my. I don't know who asked that question, but if it's somebody,
Josiah,
oh, Josiah,
Josiah.
I was like, I know it was one of my friends because I'm like, they know I got sayings for days, but I don't know if it's the platform for some of my sayings, but I don't know. I want to come back to that, Josiah. If that's fine.
Okay, so he has another question for you. He said, historically, who would you say you look up to?
Oh, definitely my parents. Both. I have some celebrities that I admire or that I think do great things, but like as far as like looking up to, I think they both are great examples of what it looks like to be human and also be just like perfect at the same time. They're great. So definitely my parents.
Okay, and the next question is, what are the top three things that stood out to you today?
The top three things from this conversation, or just during the day in general.
Just today in general.
Today in general. So I'm out with my job. I've been getting the opportunity to train for a different experience. So I've been being able to do something different. So I've been meeting different people. I would say the top three things, just from today and just this week with me being out here is just be kind. Being kind, it will take you so far. Like it doesn't hurt to be kind to people. Do what you say you're gonna do. So be a person of your word. We know that things come up, and if they do come up, like today when I hopped on this call, I'm like, Rochelle, can you please give me 2 minutes to finish getting like? So just say, do what you say you're gonna do, and um, just be open because here I am in once another opportunity to see another place that I've never been before, experience another things that I've been before, and it was just because I was open and to just try something different. So those would be the top three things that I would say.
Okay, for me, I think the top three things would be more like it was so much to just to even like an hour or two before I was this show, everything was going wrong. Like my setup wasn't working out, like my screen behind me is not working out, like, and it felt like I was rambling, and I was like, why would it, and it felt like it was just such a frustration that tried to like take me over and make me want to like not even want to go through with this because it just felt like, oh my God, why is, but the Lord had, made everything work out and everything good and on time. But I think that was one of the things that was like really frustrating me was, but the Lord saw us, you saw me through it, and also just even just your spirit, just your story, just your encouraging words have really just touched me in such a way that I'm just like, wow, like I'm so glad that you are on here. I'm so glad we made this work. I know that we had to push you back an hour, but I was like, no, we gonna get you in here. But I just appreciate just you taking the time and just really accepting the yes, and I really do appreciate that. So, as we're talking and just going back and forth, please write in the comments what you want to hear, anything that you want to see, or what you're unsure about. Like, how do you take the limitations off? So, as we are talking, please just write in the comments. I'm really trying to look through and see. Uh, so I'm looking through and I see one comment. Hold on. People are saying thank you. You're such a blessing. You have a lot of love, Leah. People are commenting and saying, one person said, don't be afraid to shift and change, just say yes. Um, another people are saying that your story is so encouraging. Um, And someone, Reverend Dr. Myra Billups said, did I hear you say you started working on your dissertation for one degree and then ended up going a different way? If so, what was that transition for you?
Okay. So my dissertation or excuse me, my doctorate is in sport management, and so I completed that, but I pivoted into a different industry, and so now I'm in the animal health space. And that transition, like I said, it was first of all, I had nothing else to do but surrender and like my choice. I couldn't make the decision, but a more practical thing, I guess you would say, I just, I the enemy is so, and I say he attacks me in my heart, but in my mind too, he knows I'm a thinker. I think that was one of the points that I was going to say earlier. I just think, I overthink. People like Mariah would tell me, you got to have a plan and a just in case for the just in case for the just in case. And that's just, I'm an overanalyzer. And I think he used that against me during that season. I'm like, I got all this education in this area, this experience. I can't do anything. I thought I couldn't do anything. I thought that I didn't have any transferable skills, something that I had taught student athletes to like identify. And, I'm things that I had been preaching to them, I couldn't even preach to myself in that season. But, they're my parents and just good friends. They encouraged me to just lean on my network, reach out to people, call this person, call that person, and ended up connecting with a friend from Troy. So once again, just the Troy University connections are lifelong, literally. But he had been working with this particular company for a while, had some success. He had really loved it. Told me about it and just how I could, some of my skills could for sure definitely transfer over. And just the way the Lord works, about a month or so after he and I had kind of had that conversation, an opportunity presented itself, and so he shared it with me and referred it with me. But that was the way I actually made the transition to where I am now.
Okay. And Khadijah Abrams said, as you transition through a different stages of your career, how did you give yourself the grace to evolve without limits? And what advice would you give to others looking to do the same?
Perfect. Thank everyone for the questions. Thank you, Khadijah. That's one of my best friends. So I appreciate you tuning in and for asking the question. But um, two things came to mind with that question. And Rochelle, you probably know the actual verse. I'm bad about telling the verse, but I know what it says. One of them says, write the vision and make it plain.
That's in Habakkuk.
Okay, thank you. And then another one says also, faith without works is dead. And so I think those two scriptures kind of help shape, you know, how I try to operate. And so for example, Khadijah knows we've made like vision boards and stuff before. I think I was talking to her this week about a vision board screensaver that I have that she and I that we made a couple of years ago. And that was I put something on that vision board, and I was telling Khadijah how at the time I didn't even know the word for what it was, but like I think that's what the Lord wants you to do. It's just you don't have to know exactly what it is. You don't have to know exactly what it looks like. Just put it down, write the vision, and he can kind of work on the plans. But then also in the meantime, we can't just, make a vision board or make goals and just hope that the Lord blesses them. We got to kind of put a little action behind it. So I think I would say maybe some of the action behind it was just, believing that I could, putting in the work, making sure that whatever that making smart goals. I can get more specific, but really just making sure I kept that vision at the forefront, but then also doing my part of showing up, for work and doing a good job. And then also remembering that what got me to this point was that I thought I could control everything or that I was doing everything, or if I had a shortcoming, Khadijah knows I'm hard on myself. Like I'm probably harder on myself than I am on others. Um, but taking a step away and just reminding myself that like, this has nothing to do with you. I mean, it does, but this is all the Lord anyway. Give yourself grace. Like I mentioned, like the fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Are you having a fixed mindset about this issue, about this situation, or are you having a growth mindset? And how can you get to a growth mindset? So just taking a step back. And I mean, Khadijah asked the question. I mentioned that she was one of my best friends, but leaning on your friends, she is quick to remind me, girl, you know, whatever. Same thing I do to her. But we need those checks sometimes. So that's
Right.
how I give myself grace while still working towards the goal and where God currently has me in life.
Good. So thank you for answering those questions. As me and Leah keeps talking, if you could just keep adding questions in the chat, I'm going to view them as I see them. But as I'm waiting for more questions, I'm going to ask a question. So, have you ever, or if you ever experienced someone putting a limitation on you, how did you navigate through that? Like, did you ever feel like people looked at you as if you couldn't do it or you didn't fit the space that you were trying to get into?
Oh, absolutely. So, well, I will say, yes, I've had those experiences, but I will very much say that I think Don Staley called it uncommon favor. I also am a recipient of like uncommon favor. And so, even despite those times, Rochelle, that I may have had someone putting a limitation on me or a hater or a block, whatever it is, um, I thank God that I had to have a relationship with him that I do. Because anyone that knows me, I'm human. So I may initially go to hothead Leah, and hothead Leah is I'm gonna show you, like, let me prove it to you, or like, whatever. But after I kind of get that out of my system, or I talk to my friends, or I take a breather, take a step back, I realize and this okay, here it is to Josiah's question earlier. One quote, and I said this to Khadijah, I think yesterday: what's for me is never gonna miss me, and what's for you is never gonna miss you either. So like, I really feel like I am so. If I do have haters or people trying that have tried or currently trying, I don't even know they're there because I'm so. There's a non-factor. Like even if you are a factor, you're not a factor because I truly believe that like what God has for us, no one can, no man, no woman, no person can block that. So that was what I would say from like a spiritual standpoint, but like a practical standpoint, like I said, I call it uncommon favor, but I also think that like I have done a good job of just like not just jumping in situations, just going, sit back sometimes and analyze and see who your allies may be or who your supporters may be. And it's okay if like everyone doesn't like you. It's okay if I don't have the love from the entire office, but if I have two or three good solid people, lean on them. Like just know like you don't have to have it all. Like be thankful and happy for what you do have and where you are, and just know that like God can use the two that do support you to do way more than what the people who are like trying to put limits on you or set you back could ever do.
I'm so glad you said that because last week I was talking about how I this is like my third time relaunching Coffee Break, and one of the reasons why I kept stopping and starting was because I wasn't seeing the support from other people, and I was like, oh, it was just so frustrating. It felt pointless to put in all the hard work and the creativity and the promotion, content out, and you're like, you're doing all this work and no one is viewing. But I had a small group of people that were supporting me and telling me I love what you're doing, and but I wanted to see more support from people out there. And so what your comment just said to me was that you don't have to get it from everybody, but if you have that just small core people that believe and support you, that's all that matters. And if you can keep that focus, and you have them people in your corner cheerleading, like you could really accomplish a lot of things. So thank you for saying that, because that's even like highlighting things of like the motivation to keep going and not even put limitations on, okay, I can't do this anymore because people are not supporting me, but I need to keep going regardless of what it looks like, what that the big crowd is not cheering for me, but if there's that small few cheers, like that's all that matters. So thank you for that. Some people are really, they're in the comments, and the Rena says, I truly believe that it is a struggle for our family. Although we push through and overcome our fears, our grandparents always taught us to keep going, just keep giving and trusting God. Sonia Moss says, she's commenting, she says, awesome. Eddie Brundidge says, awesome. I have people just say, Reverend Dr. Mara Billups says, keep moving forward, it's coming. Christina Royster says, agree with what you said about remembering who is there for you. I have had to tell myself God doesn't care about followers; He wants faith. So what do you say to that? Like, what do you say about just remembering who is there for you?
I mean, and I appreciate you being transparent about your thoughts towards this coffee break, because we can get discouraged when we don't get that support, or when it may not look the way it needs to. But I told you I'm a thinker, Rochelle. So sometimes I like get deep in my thoughts, and I'll think, I'm like, what if God gave me what I thought I wanted? What would that look like? Am I equipped and am I ready? And with you, and I'm sure you are, but just with your situation, what if God gave you the millions of followers and viewers and whatever? Are you ready? Or like, or is that even something that you really want? You may want it. I don't know.
Right.
I'm sure you do. That would be great for you, obviously, for you to get the message out. But like for me, what if God gave me just the regular, and I'm saying that's the normal
Yeah.
student life, a non-athlete life? Like, what if He gave me that? Would I have been fulfilled, or can I just kind of be where your feet are? We've heard the quote, "Be where your feet are." Can I just be where I am? Can I just blossom where I'm planted? You know, stay where I'm grounded, where I'm rooted, and then just wait for the time for me to sprout or grow, or whatever it is. So that's just kind of what I would say to kind of keep in mind during situations and during seasons like that.
Yeah, like because that that is so true. Because I even going back to like just you leaving Troy to go to this other the new opportunity in Mississippi. It just speaks volumes to the taking the limitations off of what we think is best for us, or taking off the limitations of, well, this is comfortable. So what do you speak to our viewers that maybe if they're in a comfortable place, or maybe God has told them to do a thing and they're limiting themselves because whatever the instruction God told them or the nudge they felt, what do you speak to the viewer? How do you get them to encourage them to move forward?
I mean, there's a lot I can say to encourage, but like just the real thing that I would say is you can either make the decision or He can make it for you. So, because like, I mean,
Right.
his will, and back to I kind of rushed through my situation, but when I went to Mississippi for that year, I faced some health challenges and some health scares that like I never would have thought that I had, and obviously that happened, but I think a part of it was because I was stubborn. I was hard. I wouldn't submit. I'm like, I keep going. I can go back. I can get back. I don't need to take this much time off, or I know it all, and I just kept going. I am persistent. I get knocked down, I'm gonna get back up. But I think it was just one point in time where I was like, okay, so I could have probably made that decision in a different way, or it may not have gotten that way, or who knows? Everything happens the way it's supposed to. But that really would be the only advice. Like, either you listen, you make the decision, and if it's something that you think that the Lord is telling you, you prayed on it, you sought wise counsel, you've done all that. I'm realizing that, like, because I'm also recovering from perfectionism, so like I felt like every
I'm the same way.
calculated, it had to be perfect, because if I don't do this in this order, but so what if you make the wrong step? If God is so big and so great that he can cover us, like while we out intentionally sinning, and while we out intentionally he can also cover us when we mistakenly make or think that we have heard from him. Or so that's another thing, kind of back to Khadijah's question. That's I have to reflect on that all the time. Like, if you make, because even in this role that I'm in is going to require that I move to a different location, maybe, or just different things could happen with this current position. But I'm also like, Leah, don't go back to that overly analyzing, or that as long as it's close to this, or it's got an airport. Don't I mean, have your criteria, of course. You know what you like and what makes you, but you know, just leave room for God. Just leave room for God, and just know that, like, even if you misstep, he's there to guide and protect and comfort us along the way.
I like what you said. Either you make the decision or he'll make it for you. Like that that is a word for somebody, because I have experienced it where my first career was being a chef, went to culinary art school and everything, working in Orlando, and the Lord made it so miserable for me where I was like, okay, am I out of place? Like, so I began to pray, like, Lord, what's going on? Why I feel like everything is going wrong? And the Lord was like, go do social work. And that's how I ended up at Troy University. But it was because I was out of place. And the Lord was like, as long as you're out of place, you're not asking me what to do. You just doing your own thing. And then when he made it horrible, that's when I had to reel it back in and say, all right, God, what are you saying to me in this season? And it began to make me pivot and say,
Mm-hmm.
okay. And it was difficult for me to be finished and have to go all the way back to school. And it's like if I would have just listened before and just asked God, what is the move? What I need to be doing, then I wouldn't have to start all over again. But that's just my perspective on just like God making a decision for us. Like, okay, you did your own thing, but now I'm gonna pivot you to the place that I want you to be and where you need to be.
For
So
sure.
the comments are full of just encouraging words, and people are supporting. I thank everybody for viewing. Leah, I thank you for taking time out to even do this and being transparent, because sometimes it's not easy to tell your story, because sometimes people take your stories and they like run with it, or they go back and tell people, and it's not in a good light, but it's in a negative light. But thank you for your vulnerability
Sure.
today, because you have really ministered to the people. We have right now, we have so many people on, and I'm just so thankful for the opportunity for you to just share your story to us and minister to us. Also, I want to thank the viewers that are viewing on. I want to give a testimony, because this episode has been, out of the three times I've started Coffee Break, this is the most viewers I've had on at one time. And I just want to give God the glory. I want to give God all the praise, and I want to give him all the honor, because this has been a journey, and it's just been so like a roller coaster, up and down. But just for you to just come and share and just be here and just promote and bring people to the platform. I thank you for that, Leah. Like I really do appreciate that because I mean I have never seen this many people, and it gives me encouragement to say, Rochelle, keep going, keep doing,
Right.
keep keep the vision God has for you. So I just want to say thank you to you, and just your light, let your light shine, girl, because you doing your thing.
Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you.
Yeah, so right now we're I don't see any what someone said thank you for sharing. Kelsey Page said thank you for sharing your testimony, Leah. So we're gonna wrap it up. I want to share a sneak peek of our next episode. So I don't want you to just think that this is the only time you can come. We do women's empowerment coffee break every Friday night. Now, we had to change the time for Leah. It's originally at 5 p.m., but we had to change the time because we wanted her to get on, and we was like, okay, we need the slots had filled up, and I was like, we got to get you in, so we changed the time. But next week at 5 p.m. we have Tequila Cobb. She's coming and she is going to be our guest. So just give me a moment. I'm going to share this sneak peek with you and just stay tuned.
Thank you. Before you play it, thank you again, Rochelle, and stay encouraged. Is all I have to say. Thank you and stay encouraged.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate everything that you have done, everything you have contributed. It has been truly a blessing to me, and it has been truly a blessing to everyone. And keep doing what God has called you to do.
For sure. Thank you.
And here's a sneak peek into our next episode. Love is. Love is something that we all need to know and share and appreciate. And I just want to introduce to you the one and only Tequila Cobb. She is the founder and CEO of Love Unlimited Edition. You don't want to miss it on June 7th, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Women's Empowerment Network.
Thank you so much, everybody. Stay tuned next week at 5 p.m. Tequila Cobbs. Our topic is love is. So this is going to get deep. It's going to get real. Continue to share. If you have not shared already, please hit that share button. We want to get this word out, and we want people to be able to see this beautiful testimony of Dr. Leah Brundidge. She has really poured into us, and I want people to hear her story and encourage someone else to take the limits off of themselves, and so that they can be the best who God created them to be. Leah, do you have any final words before we wrap up?
Other than just what I mentioned, like I said, I appreciate you, Rochelle, and just who you are, what you and your family have done, but also continue to do, and just stay encouraged because maybe one person just needs to hear it, or a million, but the Lord will continue to provide for you the way He has. So just stay encouraged.
Amen. Thank you so much. We thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you next week, 5 p.m. You all have a beautiful day.